All right, guys. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is like my main thing I want to talk to you guys about is something that I think almost everybody does wrong in game, and most people just don't understand and don't, either they're not aware of it or they don't know how to do it or whatever. And that is adjusting to the woman's blueprint, okay? So many guys, they treat going up and talking to a girl as I need to go do proper game, or I need to go say this exact line and then this exact line, or do the open, then the hook, then the, the emotional escalation, physical escalation, and they're trying to go step by step by step, which is great. But the thing is, they're so on this like, I must do this thing, that they're not actually paying attention or reacting to what the girl's giving them, okay? Every single girl is gonna be different. And if you can learn to adapt to what she's giving you, things will be very easy. If you don't learn to adapt to what she's giving you, things will be very, very hard, right? The way that I will sleep with some girls is to just talk and talk and talk and talk and barely let them talk. The way I will sleep with other girls is to sit back and let them essentially talk themselves into bed and just nod and be like, that must have been tough. Oh, wow, I sympathize. And just let them talk and talk and talk, okay? Now, if the efficient way to game a girl is to let her talk, and I spend the whole night talking at her, that's probably not gonna go very well. I may still, if I'm really amazing at talking at her, I may still be able to make it happen, but I equate that a little bit to like, if you're in a river, you can swim upstream or you can swim downstream. You're gonna swim a lot faster downstream because the current is in your favor, okay? So what I wanna encourage you guys to do is understand female psychology in general to the extent and in such a way that you know where the current's usually flowing. And then I want you to understand the specific girl you're talking to in such a way that you know exactly what her wants and needs are in her life, okay? So that's what we're gonna kind of talk about. And first off, I wanna talk about the idea of blueprint in general and what are girls looking for overall, all right? How many of you guys have ever heard the concept of value and comfort? You guys know this a little bit? Some of you guys? Okay, cool. So that's what I would call a fundamental piece of the general female blueprint. Most girls, in order to sleep with a guy, want the guy to be of a certain caliber, right? Most girls don't want to sleep with homeless guys, total scrubs, stuff like that. At the same time, they want a guy who will stick around and take care of them if they were to like have a baby, or at least will make them feel that they weren't completely just used for sex, okay? And the thing is, this is a paradox, because the guy that is a high enough caliber that the girl really, really gets attracted to him, the girl really, really wants him, that guy has very little reason to stick around, right? Like think about like a guy like me. How much reason would I have to stick around with some random girl who I sleep with when I can go out tonight and get a different girl, and the next night and get a different girl, and the next night and get a different girl? Why would I want to stick around with any particular random girl? So the fact that I can do that does make me high value, it does make me in demand, high status, but it also makes the girl massively uncomfortable, okay? On the other hand, there are guys that would do anything for a girl. They would bend over backwards, buy her flowers, to use a Tyler line, drive around like the block 10 times to see if her porch light is on, right? They would do anything and everything, but the problem is those type of guys usually don't have a lot of choices with girls, right? And that's why they'll do anything and everything. So if you're with a girl and you're like, I'd do anything for you, baby. I'd take you on vacation, I'll buy you a house, I'll buy you a car. She's like, well, I appreciate that. I'll take the financial goods, but like, don't you have any options, loser? Why are you so into me, right? Because the fact that you are so wrapped up in her, the fact you are so willing to commit actually indicates you probably aren't as high value of a guy. And so there is this paradox, right? There's a paradox between value and comfort. And certain girls will need more or less of one or the other, but every girl needs a little bit of both. Just a little bit of both. Even like the total party girl, that's all just, I want to get fucked tonight, pure value. If you take her into a dark alley where she thinks she'll get murdered, she'll probably still run away, okay? Like there is a minimal level of comfort necessary, right? And even the girl that like, all her boyfriends, she's known for like 2 years before she even sleeps with them, and they're all her best friends from growing up. That's true, but she probably sleeps with the high value ones of her best friends growing up, not the total loser that everybody makes fun of from the best friends growing up, okay? So all the girls are gonna have some semblance of both. So it's important to understand that, and it's important to understand why the girl needs this and kind of adopt that into your game, okay? That's the general blueprint, and that's what you wanna be thinking with any girl, right? So at any point in an interaction, if I don't know a girl, based on her reactions to me, I'm thinking, does this girl need more value or does she need more comfort? That's one of the most fundamental things that I'm gonna be thinking. The other thing that's part of the female blueprint is your society, right? Whatever country you live in, whatever culture you live in, that's gonna permeate everyone to a certain extent. So most girls in any civilization don't wanna appear to be sluts, as an example, right? Why is that? Why don't girls want to be, why don't they want to appear slutty? Yeah.
They don't want to get judged.
They don't want to get judged?
And then guys probably wouldn't want to like have to.
Boom, right? That's it. That's exactly it, right? So they don't want to get judged because in a tribal environment where we evolved, if they were judged as slutty, a man would not want to have babies with them. Well, actually, a man would not want to stick around and raise a baby with them, actually is what it is, because he wouldn't be sure it's his, okay? But if the man thought that like the girl would only sleep with him, she was like chaste and pure and nice and virginal, then if she had a baby and he slept with her, then he'd trust her and stay around and want to raise the kid, okay? So that's really the risk there, right? That's the risk of being viewed as a slut, is that you lose that sort of like male support because biologically they don't know if it's theirs. That's what it's really coming down to. Also, because of that, because that exists and because it's kind of put on a pedestal to not be a slut, there's sort of smaller consequences that come along those lines, which is if you are perceived as a slut, girls will treat you less nice, other guys will treat you less nice, that kind of stuff. So there's milder consequences, but in the end of the day, that's the real consequence, is that it affects your reproductive capability. So girls don't want to be perceived as sluts. That's important to know. On the other hand, girls want sex. Yes? Do we agree with that, or do we need to explain that one? Yes? No? Okay. Yeah, girls want sex. Why do girls go to nightclubs? Why do girls dress the way they do? Why do girls go on Tinder, right? Girls want sex, but they want sex in a way where they're not going to feel like a slut. So another big part of your game plan has to be to avoid making them feel slutty, right? This is why if you ever watch instructor videos, you'll never hear us say, hey, you want to go home and fuck right now, right? I guarantee you, maybe that's wrong. There may be a time. But for the most part, you're never going to see a video where an instructor will say, you want to go home and fuck right now. The only time you would see it is if it's already been so sexual that it's already been said before they said it, essentially, right? You just wouldn't see it because it's just a dumb thing to say. It's a dumb thing to do. Instead, you might hear something along the lines of, oh, you know, I know another place that I could show you where we can have drinks and we don't have so many people like bumping into us and it's not like so loud and obnoxious, right? And then you take them home and have a drink in your living room and then have sex, right? So there's all these ways of not making things seem slutty, and that's very, very important to the overall game plan, okay? And then also the fact that you need to escalate, which we talked about. You need to take the burden and move things forward because the girl typically won't do that, right? The girl won't do that. She needs you to do it because, again, if a girl escalates on you, if a girl gets physical, if a girl says, I want to fuck you, what is she? She's a slut. Not really, but that's how she'll be judged, right? Yeah, she probably is. That's okay. I don't even believe in that word, but that's a whole other thing. The point is, though, you need to understand these different sort of pressures that the girl is under, because once you understand them, you can kind of walk that middle road where you are escalating, but you're not making her feel slutty about it, right? Where you are showing enough value that she likes you, but it's not so obnoxious that she doesn't trust you and thinks you'll just get 20 other girls tomorrow, okay? So that's the general blueprint that you're looking at, is that girls do want sex. They want the highest value guy they can get. In fact, they want the guy, here's what every girl wants. They want the guy that they don't deserve, who for some reason is dumb enough to stick with them. That's basically what they want. And let's be honest, as guys, that's what we kind of want too, right? We want the girl we don't deserve, who like chose us or decided we were special, that sort of thing, right? And so that's another big part of the female blueprint, is making her special for something beyond just her appearance, right? Because if you walk up to a hot girl and you sleep with her, but you don't know her very well, what's the narrative in her head for your relationship? How does she view what just happened? If she were to tell her friend the story, right? The story is, yeah, this guy wanted to fuck me. He walked up to me and, you know, I let him fuck me. Right? It's not a very good story to tell her friends, right? Because again, she'll be called a slut. On the other hand, if the story is, I was talking to this guy, and at first I didn't know if he liked me, and like he was kind of like arrogant, and I don't know, I wasn't sure if I liked him. But then like we started talking, we had so much in common, and we connected. And then like I found out that like he actually like takes care of puppies, and he's this really sweet guy, and he's actually like a little bit famous. And then and then like I don't know, we went back to his place, and one thing led to another, and it was beautiful. Right? That's the story she wants to tell to her friend, because that story makes her seem not slutty. That story makes her able to enjoy the experience without any judgment. Okay? So it's walking that road and giving the girl an experience. Okay? That's another very key thing to think in terms of like the general female blueprint. Girls need to have an experience to have sex. Guys, we just need to be turned on to have sex. Right? Pretty much. Like, how many of you, this is actually an interesting question, how many of you have ever thought it, like walked up to a girl and thought she was like a total 10, and then she actually was positive to you, making out with you, would go home with you, and then you said no to her? Has that happened? No. Yeah? I've done it like 2 or 3 times when the girl was like totally batshit crazy to the point that I felt in danger. Right? That's about what it would take. Okay? That's about what it would take. Right? Because as guys, we like, dude, seriously, like this, I like should not admit this, but like there was a time when I like literally, multiple times, there were at least 2 times I can think of when like a girl drove me home drunk, and I probably should not have fucking like gotten in the car, but I knew that when we got there I was gonna have sex, right? Like, yeah, I don't know what that says about my self-esteem, but no, anyway, the point is, like as guys, when a girl's hot, we pretty much have decided to fuck her, and we're not gonna change that decision so much. For girls, it's not like that. For girls, it's more about the experience. In fact, a girl can see a hot guy and feel nothing for him, right? Or a girl can see a hot guy and actually dislike him. Or a girl can see a guy that she's not even that attracted to, and over time, because of the experience and because of the interaction they have, he becomes hot to her, right? Does that make sense? Because of the personality traits he's conveying, because of the interaction they have. Basically, if you're having an interaction with a girl and she's acting towards you the way she would act towards a hot guy, she's gonna start viewing you as a hot guy. Is that crazy? Right? Even if you're not that hot. So if you're having an interaction with a girl and she keeps like, every time the conversation goes silent, she feels this urge to keep it going, and she feels and maybe like you disapprove of her, and she feels this urge to get your approval back. That's the way she's used to acting around hot guys, celebrities, guys she has crushes on. If she's acting that way around you a long enough time, she's just gonna sort of start to assume that she likes you. Right? That's what her biology is going to do. It's called essentially cognitive dissonance, right? You have the way you behave around someone you like, you have the way you're behaving around this guy. Even if you don't like them, if they match, essentially your brain is going to like figure the two must be the same thing. Anyway, that's kind of a bit of what you want to be doing for the girl in general, right? You need to be walking that line, you need to be giving her that experience, right? And there's a lot of general principles to that. General principles like avoid saying things that make the girl seem slutty. Avoid escalating too fast, right? Things like make sure that you qualify the girl, and so she feels like she earned you a little bit, as opposed to you're just the guy that walked up and wanted to sleep with her and you slept with her. This is generally good game. And to be fair, most guys maybe get to this level, maybe don't, right? There are a lot of guys that they get to that level of like generally understanding, general calibration. Fair enough. A lot of guys, like beginners in the room, probably are like, wow, that's incredible, that's mind-blowing, I never thought of that. Some of the advanced guys that are like, yeah, I know that, whatever. I calibrate, I qualify girls, I know that general blueprint. The level that most guys don't get to, though, is actually taking it a step further and interacting with the specific blueprint of the specific girl in front of them. Okay? Understanding that every girl is a little bit different in terms of how much value she needs relative to how much comfort she needs. In terms of what even represents value to her. Funny enough, the thing that represents value to one girl might not represent value to another. Okay, I'll give you guys an example. Let's say that there is a girl who is first generation immigrant to this country, and she's also the first person in her family to go to college. Okay? Now, when that girl asks you what you do for a living, what types of careers could you say that she's looking to hear that are high value for her? Any ideas? Yeah. Doctor would be a great, doctor, lawyer, yeah. Yeah, doctor, lawyer, engineer, those kind of things, right? Anything that required a college degree, seems stable, and makes a good starting salary, right? That's basically what she's looking for. Why is that? Why is that what that girl's looking for?
That's value to her. That's pretty much her upbringing, like what she saw.
That's her upbringing, right? Her whole life, most likely, you don't know this, but you can make a pretty reasonable assumption. Her whole life, her parents probably hammered her with this, right? With, you're in the United States, you have this opportunity. I worked hard to come over here and give you this opportunity. You need to work hard, you need to go through college. That's what success is. That's what like the American dream is, right? They've been taught this, is pounded into their head over and over and over again to the point that that's what they're looking for. That's their, I call it iconography, but that's the image in their head of their ideal man, right? Can you sleep with these girls if you're not that guy? Yes, you absolutely can. Would it be easier if you were? Yes, it absolutely is. Okay? Does that make sense? If you fit that iconography, it's easier. And I'm not suggesting, we'll get to this in a minute, I'm not suggesting that you lie to girls and tell them you're something you're not. I'm also not suggesting you get a job just to like please certain types of girls. There are a lot of ways around this. But what I'm saying is there's a way to swim with the stream and a way to swim against the stream. Now, if that girl, if you told her I'm an entrepreneur, what might she think? Don't have a job, that kind of stuff. Some of them might be impressed by it. A lot of them might think, oh, unemployed, right? They might think drug dealer. They might think, like, there's different things they might think, right? But it's not a paradigm that is already planted in their head as an attractive paradigm. It's one that you might have to sell as attractive to them after the fact, right? Or before the fact if you're smart. It's a harder sell, though, right? Contrast that to a girl who I don't know, does something entrepreneurial herself, or contrast that to a girl who maybe is a professional hot girl, right? A girl who maybe does some modeling, maybe works at a nightclub, those type of girls. Now, those type of girls, what kind of jobs or careers do you think are high value to them? DJ?
Celebrity, bartender.
DJ, celebrity. Okay, so we have nightlife, high value, right? DJ is high value nightlife. Bartender is, in some cases, high value nightlife. In other cases, at least part of nightlife, right? So that's there. Celebrity, right? So that's just blatant high value, period, right? So those kind of things. What about for those guys, entrepreneur versus engineer? Which one are they more likely to want? Entrepreneur. Interesting, right? So the thing that is like high value for this one girl is not necessarily high value for a different girl. The thing that's high value for the other girl, not high value for the first girl. All right, so therefore it might be important to know before you answer the what do you do question, what this girl's preferences are. Does that make sense? Right? And there's a way with any given job to answer in a way that caters to one preference or caters to another preference that isn't lying, that isn't like, what's the word? It isn't like defying or belittling your own like inner beliefs or anything like that. It's honest, but it's just choosing what part of yourself to express, okay? So say, for example, my job, okay? So my job, I am a pickup coach, which, by the way, I would never answer to a girl, ever, 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 as like if they don't know me very well. But I'm a pickup coach, I'm an entrepreneur, I travel the world, I make decent money. Okay, so let's just take that as my general job. Okay, if I'm talking to the girl who is the nightlife girl, how should I express my job to her? Any ideas?
Travel well.
Yeah.
And you're an entrepreneur.
Sell it as an adventure? Sure. So I might say something along the lines of, I don't really want to talk about it. I run a few small companies. Something like that. Very blasé, right? Why? Because people who are really successful entrepreneurs, they don't talk about their money. Because they're so used to everyone wanting them for their money, they downplay that shit, right? So I would do something like that. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I run a few small companies. Anyway, that's boring. Let's just hang out and have fun, right? Something like that. So I run a few small companies says entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And then later on at a certain time, I might say in sort of a negative way, yeah, we probably won't get along. I travel too much. We'd like miss each other. It wouldn't work out, right? So that's another positive thing that I'm saying. I'm telling them more about that blueprint they're looking for, but I'm not doing it in a braggy type way. It's all in a very not try hard way. Okay, how would I then explain my current job to a girl who is that immigrant, first generation college girl? How do I explain my job to that girl? I don't. I just fail with them every time. So. No. How do I explain that? What'd you say?
You're an educator.
I'm an educator. That's good. I can say something like that. I'm a teacher of sorts, something like that. I believe in education. You could go that angle. Professor? Yeah. I'm an unofficial professor. And be careful about that, because if you ever find out, if you ever put out something that's not true, and then they find out that it's not technically true, it'll tend to engender a lot of distrust. And distrust will so I say I'm like a professor, but I would never say I'm a professor, because, I mean, I essentially, like, I may as well be a professor of this shit, right? But the fact of the matter is, if she finds out that was a lie, she's gonna be like, what else did he lie about? And like tons of comfort's gonna go out the window. But yeah, in general, that's one approach. Here's an approach that I will do, and this is actually very, very, very useful when your blueprint isn't the girl's blueprint. What I will do is I will ground my blueprint onto her reality. Okay, this is a term from neurolinguistic programming. But basically, the girl has a particular view on life, right? She has a particular view on life, and my life is kind of outside the scope of that view. So if I tell her my life, it's not gonna make sense, or it won't relate, or whatever, right? But if I start with her view and explain my life with that as a premise, it will work. So for that girl, the girl who like works so hard to be educated, that kind of stuff, I might say, you know, it's really interesting, because when I was young, I was like, I knew what I wanted in life, and I worked super hard for it. So I was the kid who, like, you know, didn't go out as much as I should have. I worked really hard, got really good grades. I just wanted to go to a good college, and I did that. And I was actually like earmarked to go be an engineer. Like I was actually 1 credit away from being an engineer, oddly enough, right? And you're gonna hate what I say next, but stick with me. So I was 1 credit away from being an engineer, and I actually 1 credit away, I quit. I know, you're like, that's terrifying, I know. Just so I wanted to try something. I wanted to find out, like, if I could make it on my own, right? Because I'd always done what my teachers told me, done what my parents told me. I wanted to find out if I could make it on my own. And I was like, well, I could always go back and do it later. And I got very, very lucky. I ended up with this like great company, and I was able to like get an education from them, move up through the ranks, and now I'm like kind of at the top of the company to the point that I'm able to really do my own thing. Does that make sense? So I took that whole like, came from the bottom to the top, worked on my education, was very lucky, I fit into society, that kind of stuff. But then I took it and said, I can do that, and then I can go 1 step better, right? But it's a different conveyance than I don't want to talk about it. I run a couple companies, right? Very, very different perspective, okay? So I want you to understand that the way you convey anything and everything, you're always sending the girl a message. The question is, what message do you want to send to what girl? Okay? So that's kind of the importance of blueprint, and that's calibrating the blueprint. Now the question might be, what are you specifically looking for to figure out what is the girl's blueprint? What determines a blueprint? Okay? And I'll actually take suggestions from you guys or take ideas from you guys, and then I'll tell you my own. What do you guys think might contribute?
How they dress.
How they dress. Perfect. So, for example, if a girl was dressed in really like flashy, bright clothes and like revealing, versus if a girl was in muted clothes and very like covered up, how might you adjust to that?
Like, likely that flashy girl's like into nightlife, like she goes out a lot, she knows her fashion, and like the girl who dresses in like drab clothes, she might be like studying in the library all day, or like,
exactly, right? The girl who's dressing in the bright clothes, revealing, she's looking for attention more, right? So that says a few things. 1, how outgoing or shy is she? More outgoing in general, right? Confident or unconfident? Confident, at least with regards to her appearance, right? Be careful about saying she's confident in everything, but confident at least with regards to her appearance, right? The girl who's in the bright, revealing clothes, is she used to guys telling her she's attractive? Yes. So, would giving her a physical compliment go very far with her? Probably not, okay? So you can see how you can calibrate these different things. Within the scope of value and comfort, the girl in the brightly colored, low-cut thing, does she need more value or more comfort than the average girl? More value than the average girl. Probably she's more along the party girl sort of spectrum, doesn't need quite as much comfort, that kind of thing. All right, how about the girl in the like covered up in the muted colors? That girl, more outgoing or more shy? More shy, typically. Not always, because girls can dress different ways, different days, but typically more shy, or at least she's feeling more shy, or she isn't looking for attention quite as much that day. Okay? Confidence level, based on appearance, higher or lower? Lower, more value or more comfort in gaming her? More comfort, right? Probably a little more comfort. So again, from the very moment you say hi, or especially what comes right after hi, you might do a little differently, right? For the girl that's just cute and like the muted covered up clothes, I'd be like, hey, sorry, you just looked really cute. I want to say hi. I think that's a pretty good approach for that kind of a girl because she needs some comfort, right? The compliment probably will actually resonate with her. The nice like chill tone of voice, it is probably good, right? For the other girl, if I have a chance, if I'm able to like make eye contact beforehand or something, I might be like, oh my God, don't give me that look. Seriously? Okay, fuck it, who are you? Hi.
Daniel.
I can tell you're a pain in the ass, right? So it's more of a playful banter, push away type of an interaction from the very start, right? I'm not going to go with a physical compliment. I'm certainly not going to say something like you're cute, right? Something like that. So it's from the very first moment, it's a different approach. It's calibrated a little bit differently. Okay. What other factors do you think might play into Blueprint? Yeah.
I'd say their voice, like if they have an accent, or if they use slang, or if they talk like quiet or loudly.
Awesome, yeah. There's so much in that. There's accent, tone of voice, volume. There's also word choice, which is one of my favorite ones. But yeah, absolutely. So if a girl has an accent, how about you? What would be your adjustment there? I mean, obviously it depends on the accent, but.
Yeah, depending on the accent, try to throw out some words. I speak a little bit of German, Japanese, whatever. Mm-hmm. Try to relate with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's one.